like that.
Okay, well, thank you everybody for joining us. Tonight we're going to jump right into our presentations. And our first presentation will be the district's.
Pledge of allegiance.
We did that. The first presentation will be the district's vision, mission, and goals by Kelly Zimmerman.
Just
Right,
on the
pop up,
PowerPoint at the bottom. Just. You have the remote on the side there if you want to use that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for joining us tonight for our regular session of our board meeting. I wanted to start tonight by just reviewing for everybody the work that the Board of Education did in August at our board retreat. It primarily focused on developing and updating the mission and goals for our district, and in the process also developing a mission to use as we move forward through the next several years in the district. So I just wanted to give everybody a taste of the work that we did as a board and how we landed, and use this as an official platform to jump off and to review our vision as we move forward. So we spent some time reviewing the current, what was the old mission, and then developed the overall vision. But then we talked about what are some long-term goals that are going to align, and what does that alignment look like in order to guide all the work that we do as a district as we move through our future together. As part of that, we talked about where do our roles overlap and where do they coincide. Together, the Board of Education and Superintendent share that collective responsibility of developing district-level goals. The Board of Education plays a role in establishing those goals and then providing the resources and support behind that, and then the superintendent in turn establishes how we're going to support and implement those goals and how do those feed through the rest of the district. Together, we evaluate progress on an ongoing basis, and we reflect on that progress. We hold other people within the system accountable to that, and we look at if we need to redevelop those on an annual basis. So we talked about how do we know when we're really doing this right? What makes an effective overall governance team in a district? What will be our vision and mission? How do our strategic goals play from that? And how will we know when we get there? And how do we, most importantly, make that become part of the embedded culture throughout the district and throughout our community? So we know that when we develop this, it starts with a well-articulated vision and mission. Not just throwing words up on a poster that we make reference to once in a while, but how do we really live and bring to life the overall vision of a district, and how are we intentional in motivating all of our behaviors to consistently work toward that? We talked about really what's the difference. A lot of times we use those terms interchangeably, but there is truly a difference. Vision statements should be brief and future focused. When you read a vision statement, you should understand what is it that we as an organization value, what are our core belief systems, and what do we know we can be? What can we dream and imagine that we can be as a district? And then the mission statement comes down from that and tells us, okay, this is how we're going to do it. This is how we're going to achieve that overall dream that we have. It's that ongoing source to prompt change and growth and motivation to continue moving forward. So then we engaged in the work of defining what our mission and vision would be. Just to give you a sense, these were some of the activities that we worked through during that day at our board retreat. We took kind of census and where are we right now? How do we define ourselves right now? What does this look like? What does this sound like? We invited ourselves to think globally outside of the pandemic. We weren't developing a vision of how we're going to get through the pandemic. We were looking even higher at what is our vision for our district as a whole, not just now and in this year, but into the future. Where are we headed? Then we brainstormed, okay, then where do we want to be and how will we get there? And so when we sat back and really took stock in all of that work and asked ourselves, what is truly our future hold? We collaboratively developed an updated vision statement. Delaware Academy Central School District at Delhi will be a leader in academic excellence, preparing students to excel in a diverse and dynamic society. This is what drives us. This is what we ground everything that we do in. So how are we going to do that? We talked about how do we realize that vision, what are we going to commit to, and then how will we know when we get there, and that becomes the purpose of developing the overall district goals. So our mission statement resulted in this. Delaware Academy will provide a wide range of academic and extracurricular opportunities that develop critical thinking and innovation. Our community of learners, meaning everybody. So this isn't just our students. This is our community of learners. These are our parents. These are all of our stakeholders that contribute to our organization. We'll foster partnerships within our region and beyond, supporting a wide range of career pathways for all of our students. And our students, when they leave our doors, will enter society with the ability to embrace change with confidence, altruism, and adaptability. So with that, we set to then what become our district level goals. How will we get there? And again, after going through various activities, we determined 4 primary goals that align with that vision and are informed by that mission. We will do that by engaging in data-informed practices using multiple sources of information to ensure continuous improvement in student performance and outcomes. We will evaluate and provide necessary resources to achieve that mission in an informed and a fiscally responsible manner always. We will attract, develop, and retain high-quality, student-centered faculty, staff, and administrators. And we will develop and maintain collaborative relationships, symbiotic relationships with and between our district and all of the communities that it serves. So at this point, we paused and we said, okay, well, how are we going to measure this? Where does it become our role once we've set these goals? And we said, but hold on, because truly, at this point, the board, you have done the work of developing and setting these goals for us as a district. You oversee the development of these goals based on what you've set as our mission and our vision. And then it becomes the role of the superintendent and our team to put this into action. And at this point, we develop goals and we apply a SMART goals model, meaning that in the goals that we develop, now must look at, are these goals specific? Are they measurable? Are they reasonable and attainable? Are they realistic? And when do we hope to accomplish them by? So we take those district level goals, and then my job becomes to set SMART goals as the superintendent. And then from there, we'll be developing building level goals, department level goals, all that align with the overall achievement that help us make progress toward that overall mission in the district. So as I took the first stab then at taking all of this work from the board and establishing superintendent goals, I have become even more explicit in how we're going to get there. And so I'm committing to leading the evaluation of student growth and performance using multiple sources of both local and state performance data. We know that last year and this year, we've had a little bit of blip in that because we don't have the state performance data due to COVID. But that does not mean that we are relieved of the responsibility of evaluating the ongoing growth of our students. And so we need to be looking at multiple and different local sources to be able to measure that growth. I will develop an annual expenditure budget aligned with our district priorities. Again, taking a conservative and responsible approach, balancing that with anticipated sources of revenue in order to provide the resources that would become necessary to achieve those district goals. We'll be developing and implementing quality practices to recruit, to interview, to develop, to evaluate all employees. We're supporting opportunities for mentoring, for professional development, growth-focused evaluation procedures, not just based on a number, but based on how can we inform how well we're doing by looking at growth in our pedagogy and growth of our students and growth in our teachers, and providing specific feedback and always clear communication of our expectations. And then finally, I will seek, develop, and support opportunities for collaborations with our local businesses, with our neighboring school districts, with community members, with our BOCES, with SUNY Delhi to continue a lot of those partnerships and seek new and different ways through trying to improve communication from the district to our community in order to achieve these goals. And as you can see in parentheses here, this is where the alignment starts to come in. So here I'm aligned with District Goal 1 and so on. So now how does the puzzle all fit together? We've started with a well-articulated vision that led to the development of the how-to, or our mission. We established district-level goals, and from that I've established those measurable superintendent goals. So the next step, and I've already talked about this with our other administrators and supervisors, is we'll be developing SMART goals both at the building level and at department levels. So you can kind of see how this all trickles down and there's alignment consistently back with the overall vision and mission. And so we'll be looking at specific goals of how we're going to support the achievement of that next level up right along. And if that's done in the right way, then everything that we do in a district becomes aligned. So we're not on independent islands of why are we developing a budget a certain way, but how are we developing and doing our curriculum planning, and how does that tie into, our safety plan? Because if this is done correctly, there's automatic alignment. Because when we're doing the work of developing all the pieces that happen in a school district, we know where we're grounded, because we know where we want to go, because we've developed strong district level goals, and we have that grounded in the overall vision and mission. So the next challenge will be, how do we bring this to life? How do we communicate this to our community? This is just the first step. And how do we communicate this to our faculty and staff so that everybody is motivated to help us realize our overall goals? And if that's done right, then you'll be able to instantly see what that alignment across the organization brings and how we continue to move forward as a unit toward continuous improvement. So, more to come. The next step, as I said, we're going to be developing building and department goals. We will always be reviewing and evaluating progress, and the reason that we're able to do that is because we'll develop those measures within the goals that tells you exactly how that will be measured, how frequently, and how we will reevaluate if we're making progress toward that. And then that also gives us the ability then to update or change those goals annually to continue to work toward the overall achievement toward that vision and mission. And that's it. Does the board have any questions? I know you guys did all the work, so.
Kelly,
Yes, Tammy.
how frequently can we expect to have updates to the board on where we're at?
So Tammy Newman asked, I know that the camera is just this way tonight because of some technical difficulties, but Tammy asked how frequently can we expect to get updates at the board level on the achievement of these? As frequently as you'd like. It's depending on the breadth and the depth of some of the goals and how those metrics are built in to measure. Some may take longer than others, but certainly you should be able to ask us how progress is going, on a monthly basis. If you'd like me to include that in the superintendent's report, we can certainly do that. Okay. All right, thank you.
Kelly, there may
Oh, yes.
also be some specific areas where I was looking at a couple of areas, and I think a lot of them are aligned with some things that we had as board goals, but we have some new members, and I'm wondering, and this is where the 4 points are written out, we may wanna just, sort of add to or adjust wording on a couple of those that we can do. I think the content areas are pretty close to things that we had, thought about as priority areas for us in the past.
Okay, yeah. Well, the whole intention behind goal development is that it's always fluid, right? And it's always up for reevaluation. These are not set in stone. The vision should be set in stone, right? That's where we want to go. But the goals are certainly fluid. Yeah. Okay.
No other questions? Thank you, Kelly.
Thanks.
You might as well stay right up there, I think, are you helping? Or-
Jeff is going to be presenting this, but let me just put on my mask and wipe down the clicker for him.
Okay, so I'll start while Mrs. Zimmerman's getting me that clicker. About 2 weeks ago, Section 4, thank you, decided that they were gonna postpone fall sports for this season. Fall sports will be played again at a different point in the year, and we'll get to that later. But I went to Mrs. Zimmerman and I said, can we start some after-school activities? New York State Public High School Athletic Association said, yes, you can on September 21st. And Mrs. Zimmerman, as she always does, said, what's our why? And I said, because the social, emotional, and physical well-being of our children depend on it. And so she said, then let's get started. So we decided to build an athletic training and conditioning plan that will guide our athletes through this fall season where they don't have competitive sports to play. So just as we did with reopening the school, we referenced the New York State Department of Health, State Ed, NISPA, and some of our local governing bodies like Section 4 in the Mid-State Athletic Conference. Used their guidelines and regulations to come up with our guidelines and regulations that would keep our kids safe when they started participating in conditioning after school just about 3 hours ago now. So some of the background leading up to this decision. On September 11th, the Section 4 Executive Committee had a meeting, and they discussed some of the concerns from the leagues within our section. The Executive Committee took into consideration the concerns and proposals by the different leagues. They came back, and on September 15th, in many meetings and many discussions, decided to postpone fall sports. As you can see, they are only postponed, and they will be played March 1st, 2021. There is no completion date for that season yet. They're leaving that end date kind of ambiguous. There's going to be a lot's dependent on the weather in March and how that season's going to play out. But there will be a season for the football, cross countries, volleyballs, soccers, and golfs. I believe deep in my heart that this is a good decision and good news for our sports teams. There were students at Delaware Academy that were facing the possible loss of their entire season as sports started to get moved and high-risk sports started to get canceled. They were looking at the start date being around the 1st of October and pushing it back even further, which would have provided some of our fall athletes, as we know what the weather's like around here, 4 weeks of their favorite football season or their favorite soccer season or what have you. Moving it to March is going to provide our athletes upwards of 10 weeks of participation in the sports that they enjoy. And I think that's going to be a great thing for them. This also serves a lot of benefits to our local school districts. We're going to be able to gather data on how schools that did decide, or sections that did decide to play sports, how it went for them, what they did well, what they needed to do better. And I anticipate the MAC League and Delaware Academy having a very solid plan in place. So when we start sports January 4th, we're going to do it in the healthiest, safest possible way for each and every one of our kids. So here's the anticipated seasons as they sit now with New York State. Boys and girls basketball, wrestling, and indoor track and field will start January 4th. There is some talk about allowing them to start as early as November 30th. The athletes have been out of sport now for 8 months. We need a significant amount of time to get their bodies conditioned and back in shape and ready for the rigors of sport. So if we can start on November 30th, the hope is to start playing games on that January 4th date. With that being said, the state championships Sectional championships are still scheduled for winter sports at this point. Moving into where the fall sports were moved, it's going to be called Fall Sports Season 2. That's going to start March 1st. That's cross country, soccer, volleyball, football. That they have canceled the New York State Championships for this year. No regional or state championships. And then spring sports will jump into April 19th. It'll be the first time our baseball and softball and track and field coaches aren't doing the first month of their season in 30-degree temperatures. So I'm sure they're excited about this. And their state championships are still scheduled to be held. So what's next? Our conditioning plan that we developed to get our kids active from now until the start date in January 4th. We use the Department of Health and NISPA guidance to provide our students opportunities to participate in after-school activities. And like I said, that started tonight, and it was great. Over the last week, we've developed a guidance document of health and safety protocols that these off-season activities will be guided by. It's titled Athletic Training and Conditioning. And the reason it's titled Athletic Training and Conditioning is because we are not playing sports right now. We are training our athletes through drills and activities, and we are conditioning their bodies to get them back up to full speed when they left off with us in March. And the MAC League, we have a meeting coming up. It was just postponed, but we'll have a meeting in early October, and that is where we will start developing our policies as it relates to how our local districts are going to handle sports when they start, how many spectators are going to attend. We want our community to know when they go to Unadilla Valley, Bainbridge, Sydney, what the expectations are, because those expectations are going to be the same when they come to Delhi, so that we have as little problems as possible once we start doing inter-community activities. As of tonight, as I said a couple times, we started, I keep saying it, but the smiles on the kids' faces tonight were priceless. The coaches, priceless. It looked normal, it felt normal, and it went off great. The coaches, like I said, they're eager. They've been contacting athletes. I want it to be known that these training sessions are not just open to the athletes that we expect typically sign up to our rosters. These are open to every single student at Delaware Academy. We want them to feel involved, included, and active after 3 o'clock at our district. And we have schedules and protocols in place, so we only have one team on a particular facility at a particular time. So we're still keeping them distanced in locker rooms, on athletic fields, and on their way in and out of the buildings. 30-ish students out on the football field tonight. The weight room at its 16-person capacity. And volleyball practice in the middle school gym. I can't believe it's been 8 months since we've seen them do those things. Athletic updates will come out as they become available. Much like everything else, things are constant, they're fluid, they're changing. I will be posting updates on the athletic tab, which hasn't been used a lot in the past, but if you go to delhighschools.org and you click on the athletic tabs, I've been recently posting updates there, and I'll continue to do that in the coming weeks and months. Any questions?
Mr. Farrar, you mentioned that this is going to be open to all our students. Would you please be more specific about the ages of those students?
Yes, grades 9 through 12, which are typically our JV and varsity level athletes, but grades 9 through 12 are invited at this point in time. We're kind of doing a soft opening where we don't have all of our student body at 3 o'clock after school in crowds that we're not prepared to handle at this point. If this goes well and we feel comfortable with things, a few weeks down the road, we're going to visit some of our younger middle school students and getting that active.
Jeff, and I just wanted to share from our committee meeting, we talked about, as part of the guidance documents for the league, could we include what the criteria will be for when, if we need to make a change, what that is? Because I think a lot of times, we talked about it at our meeting, that if it's based on emotion, that we stop or close or cancel. I'm not saying we, I said collectively, it could be Unadilla Valley and Sherwood for all that matters, even though not very probably, but you know, just so we have something to go back to say, this is what we said our criteria was, and making sure we reflect on that, because I think that's where the scariest times are, is when someone says, oh, we think we got one in Hancock. Does that mean Unitigo and Sydney can't play?
So just like we had triggers for closure in our reopening plan for schools, so we'll be developing or suggesting strongly to the MAC, within our contributions to the MAC, that we develop triggers for either Delaware Academy making a decision not to play, or ideally, it would be collectively, that
That would be-
everybody in the league can, you know, determine what those triggers are, because then you have metrics on which to base decisions, and it protects you from needing to succumb to, you know,
Oh my God.
fear or, you know, or otherwise. So that, you know, and it's not to say those metrics can't be revisited or shouldn't be revisited, as additional guidance may come from the Department of Health. But yeah, that is a piece that we'll be advocating for within the MAC.
And, you know, I think the point that Jeff made and Kelly made in the meeting was that, you know, we're looked at as leaders within the league, so that's why we had that conversation of developing that as suggestions or starting points, just so people get their head around it.
Right.
And reflecting back to that data as what's gonna drive our decision.
And I truly believe we are leaders. I had multiple phone calls today of other area schools asking to see what we've done with our athletic conditioning and training plan. I think we're the first to have our kids running around outside of our building and becoming active again, and I think it's gonna go a long way in the meeting for us to show what we've done to this point.
Mr. Farrar, the conditioning plan that you just referenced, is that also available on the athletics tab?
We will make it available on the athletics.
I think that would be helpful. Great, thanks.
So I just have a quick question, who makes, is it like a district Delhi decision or a MAC decision as far as what happens November 30th?
New York State
Oh, okay.
has set the start date for winter sports for November 30th.
Okay.
We went with the 3-season model that New York State developed over the summer, which went January 4, March 1. Albeit we went with that 3-season model, we are viewing it as a league or section. We would be able to vote to start on the 30th because New York State has cleared us to do so.
So that
Does
was
that make
just,
sense?
yeah, but would that change like all these other dates, or they would just do conditioning and still games and everything would
It's
still
just like a
start?
preseason.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Ms. Newman, can I just take the opportunity to publicly thank Mr. Ferrara for all the work that he has put into planning for this. Right from its inception, he's been an advocate within our MAC and has been a great representation of our district. He pulled together several coaches meetings and engaged our coaches in a lot of the planning of that local document that he's referring to that outlines the parameters under which we'll engage in our training and conditioning. So really kudos to you, Mr. Ferrara, really great job.
Yes, thank you very much. At this time, we'll move to public comments. Public may address the board. The board will not respond to the comments and questions during the meeting, but may refer the appropriate administration to follow up with the individual submitting the comment. The Board of Education believes that open communication with our parents, students, teachers, personnel, and district residents is very important. For this reason, the board sets aside time at the beginning and end of each regular meeting for public comments. However, in order to focus on tonight's previously scheduled agenda, as a general rule, the board will not be able to respond to your comments and questions at this time. We may refer your comments and questions to the administration for follow-up, or we may add the subject of your comments to the agenda for a future meeting. Either way, please be assured that we welcome and take your comments very seriously. The board asks each person to limit comments to not more than 2 minutes. In order for the district clerk to maintain accurate records of the meeting, each individual is requested to state his or her name and address. Do we have any public comments? Okay, no public comments. We will move to routine matters. And at this point, if there are no objections, we will approve A, B, C, D, and E as they are all minutes.
So, I was not here for a couple of weeks, so I'd have to abstain
Okay,
from CMD.
what, C and D?
CMD.
Okay,
I think the minutes reflect that you attended virtually.
Only one. So, C. C.
do I have a motion, please,
So
to approve the minutes in a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The minutes are approved. James, are you?
Abstaining from C.
C, just C. And at this time, we'll move into personnel recommendations. And we will take a motion to go from resignations, Scott Fox, down to, or through Melissa Emilio as varsity track and field.
So,
And a second? Thank you. Kim? Yep, Emily, and at this point, then, I'll take a motion to approve David Kelly and Warren Kelly for our boys basketball coaches.
so moved.
Abstain.
And a second?
Second.
Okay, and Lucy's abstaining. And I'll take a motion then to approve Terry Legg as the varsity indoor track and field and assistant varsity track and field.
So
And a second?
Second.
Thank you, Lucy. At this point, I'll take a motion to approve Phil Newman as the varsity baseball coach.
So moved.
Okay, Kim and Seth, thank you, and Sue, I'll be abstaining from that. Thank you. And we'll go from John Corey, varsity wrestling, to Abigail Losi, high school yearbook. Motion, please.
moved.
Kim, and a second?
Second.
Thank you, Seth. Any questions or comments?
I just have one question, and it relates to the athletics or the conditioning that's going on now and the coaches for those given sports. Are we moving forward with those coaches and their stipends at this point? Or are we waiting to see when their actual change season is gonna?
At this point, the board is approving as written. If there is any subsequent need to make any adjustments, that will be discussed with the contract under which those positions fall, given the nature of any future budgetary decisions that the board may need to make. So there's always potential that those could change.
Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. And our recommendations are all approved. this point, I'll take a motion to approve the financial reports.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Second, thank you, Lucy. Any questions or comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The motion is carried. We got to CSE recommendations. Like a motion, please, to approve the CSE recommendations for September 2020. Motion, please.
So moved.
Lucy, thank you. And a second? Kimberly, thank you. Any questions or comments? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, say nay. Okay, the motion is carried. And we will move into reports. Our principal's monthly reports, elementary school, Mrs. Cable.
It seems like it's been 8 months since I last saw you, actually. So much happens in a day, it's amazing. But some of the highlights, I've hired a long-term sub, which you just approved actually, for the elementary music position. Her name is Stephanie Feinberg, and she is a recent graduate, and she is full of energy. She is a delight. We're happy to have her with us for the year. And she's working with Kim Collison as her mentor, so she's a nice addition. Our kindergarten screening has been completed. We weren't able to do that over the summer with COVID, so we did that the very first thing when the kindergartners got here. So all of the screening is done. We did offer to screen our remote-only learners, and they refused. They would prefer not to come into the building, which we completely respect. So just so you know, those 6 did not get screened. We've started with the ELA assessments as promised at the end of last year. I said that we would be assessing each student in ELA and math at the beginning of the school year. We've started the ELA assessments, and math will follow right after that. We're looking for the ways to assess our remote-only students with those assessments. They're not, the reason that you can't do the kindergarten screening online is because there's a lot of like throwing a ball and things like that that you can't really capture online. But we have some assessments that we're doing for ELA and math that we should be able to capture information online. We are going to do school pictures this year. We are doing a day for the white cohort and a day for the maroon cohort. And our Bulldog Gray are going to be invited in at, from 4 to 6 on, for my building is October 15th from 4 to 6 and can have their school pictures taken. And a thank you to our photographer, Joe Richards is his name, and he was willing to come in for those extra times for our Bulldog Gray community members. So I thank him for that. We're scheduling at the elementary level monthly remote-only pickup days. So the next one will be next week, actually, for the elementary students. They come in, they pick up either a workbook or a packet of work or something that will help them in their learning at home, and have some written materials. Also, the teachers can ask for materials back so that they can grade them and assess them appropriately. So that's going quite well. I've started to meet with students who are not joining on their remote days. Just a reminder, remote days are not optional. That's a part of their 180 days of schooling each year. So if they don't join us on those remote days, they will only have 90 days of schooling, and we can't have that. So little reminders are going out. And this month we had 2 faculty meetings, and the reason I say that is because I can potentially see faculty meetings being a little more often this year than have been in the past. We've usually been able to get it with 1, but things are changing so quickly and moving so quickly. It's going to be necessary to be in constant communication. So that's all I have.
How many students are not checking in when it's remote?
I talked to a couple today, Mrs. Kelly. I can't really, I don't know specific numbers at this moment. But we're just we tried, especially the little guys, we're trying to give them some time to get on and time to, so I talked to a couple today. It's not rampant, but.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Fable. Mrs. Roberts.
Hello, everyone. Well, I feel like Mrs. Mabel, that it's been a long time. I actually started, and I don't know if this is what I should start with, but I said this is our third Monday, and we will have finished our fourth week by Wednesday. Yes! Okay, because it has been, this is a difficult thing for everyone, and we know that. And I too am doing faculty meetings we're gonna do them bi-monthly right now, every 2 weeks, so we've had 2 already. And I guess I'm gonna try to give you a few of the highlights, and then we'll talk about some of the things that are a little more challenging. One of the great things I have to say right now is we have quite a few students in the junior and senior class that are going to BOCES for their CTE programs. We are, I believe, the only school in the DCMO district that is sending our students every day. Yes, and they really are doing so well. I have already warned them that they're all gonna be honor roll students this year, since they're getting to go, twice as much as everyone else. But most schools are only sending them on their cohort day for the transportation, and then they're giving them the option that they can self-transport. But our students are being transported every single day, and honestly, the things I'm hearing from them, they really are getting kind of that extra opportunity, because sometimes they're the only ones, in their program. So that has been an awesome thing, and we need hands-on learners to be learning those skills. So we also have started something here called Mindful Moments. We know that everybody is stressed, staff, students, parents, everyone is stressed. So we're trying to come up, the counselors have a whole bunch of different ideas, and I think that's awesome, to just do little things throughout the week that will give us an opportunity to just be less stressed. So Mindful Moments, they are gonna start doing them during the homeroom period, which is another new thing. It's kind of a blessing in disguise from what's happening with our COVID guidelines. We have a homeroom period now here in our middle school, high school, and that gives us an opportunity, 12 minutes, to really do some new things that maybe we hadn't done before. So the counselors come down and they make an announcement during, the announcement time. And they're just getting started today with that, but I already have seen some excitement and some emails about different ideas coming from that. We're also going to do remote pickup, but here, because our teachers are doing it a little bit differently, 6 through 12, we've got lots of different ways that we're teaching and delivering our instruction. The remote pickup is assigned by the teacher, told to the student and their parents what they have available to them, when they should, come in and pick that up. It won't be as, probably scheduled. And I've gone round and round trying to figure that out. But basically, the system we have right now is that the teacher tells the student, and then they bring it down to the main office, and that seems to be working. The main office pickup is out in the front foyer, and so that people don't have to go any further than the foyer. There's a pickup table down there, and it's labeled with your students' your students' belongings, and that's how it's been working. The other thing is, we always in this building, and I don't know if you have this in yours, Mrs. Mabel, but we have parents who bring things for their students that they forget during the day. Everything from lunches to instruments to, now it'll be probably sneakers for their after-school training, which is still okay. It's just, please realize that we're trying to, keep you from having to come in the building. And so there's a table, and Mrs. Merman will just say, leave it on the table, and then we'll get it to your child. It'd be best if you could label it with your child's name so that we know whose it is. And then I think, 10/16 is our our Bulldog Gray Days, picture day for 6 through 12 from 4 to 6. Joe Richards is gonna do that in our building the next day. And then we're working right now on getting ready for our conference day, which will be October 9th. And so we already have some great ideas with the teachers to get prepared. And really all of our professional development, our conference days, everything that we do this year, I think is going to revolve on how to make sure that we're getting all of the different delivery modes figured out. And that's gonna be enough. That's gonna take a lot. We have those 4 different categories of students all of the time for our teachers. Our cohort, maroon and white, our everyday students, which in this building, we have 69 in this building, 6 through 12, that are remote only. And I too have remote only students that are not showing up very often. So that's another thing that we're right now strategically planning with the counselors as to how to help them realize that they need to show up so that they can still learn even though they're remote only. And that's about what I have.
Mrs. Robbins, just to clarify, you mentioned October 9th, that is a staff development day,
Oh,
not a conference day.
Sorry,
I just don't want parents to think it's a parent-teacher conference day, it's
Right,
just
it's our
staff development.
superintendent's conference day,
Right,
right, and
right.
but there's no school that day, so.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Oh, I have it. Go to departmental reports. Yes, Mr. Ferrer, that you have nothing else to report, correct? That was funny, so thank you. Priscilla.
So, good evening. Everybody's talking about how things are going and we are just doing super well in our department. And I just don't think we ever stopped. So I was looking back at our numbers and I thought our goal and what meals we were gonna have from March 18th to September 4th was 40,000. And we had 39,828 meals. So, it's a lot. My ladies worked right straight through and they just did an awesome job, and Greg's team helped get all those meals out. So it's what I do. It's what it's me and kids. So just a glimpse into like what we are doing in our buildings. We qualified for the USDA summer feeding program, and that is usually based off of the summer feeding program that we do at the library. But we are a sponsor to the library, so I contacted State Ed and said, how do we get our students those meals? Because we are only at 46% frame reduced, which I think is a lot, but you need to be at 50%. So they worked with me and they gathered our census data to get us to that 50%. So all of our students can get breakfast and lunch for free K-12. So, yeah. So that is until December 31st, and I'm encouraging our families. I just sent a very lengthy letter home to our elementary kiddos, telling parents all about our programs, our breakfast, our lunch, our snack program. We are sending meals home to our Bulldog Gray students, our Team Maroon, our Team White, and just telling parents, please participate. This is free food, and we're sending in a 10-day block 5 meals, 5 breakfast and 5 lunch, and they can pick up on Wednesdays from 8 to 9. I have a staff person in the high school dining hall, and we're just, encouraging parents, please, please participate, please be a part of just because we're at 46%. There are a lot of needy kids in our district. So our high school breakfast, right now it's a little low. We're at like 25 students a day, and we serve in the high school lobby. When the students come in and get their health screening, we have a breakfast there, and then they go right to their classrooms. In the elementary building, we are sending breakfast to the classroom, and then they have order sheets, and they place their snack order and their lunch order. And then we have great help from Sherry Ingram, who gets those meals back out to the students, and they come back to us. So I said, everything's working really well. Our high school students and middle school students, they come to us and get their lunch, and then they're eating in the high school dining hall and the middle school dining hall, just so we can socially distance everybody. We are feeding Head Start. They have 9 students. They'll be coming back to us on October 5th. And we also have our backpack program, which we are feeding 30 students with our backpack program. So we are just very busy. You know, everybody's happy to be back and have our students back in our buildings, and so we're doing good. Any questions?
I just have a quick question. So for every single child can get free food right now, we still have to fill out the.
We are asking them to fill out the free and reduced application, so we have it on file
Okay.
after December 31st, but yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Petrilli?
Good evening. I just had a couple of quick things I wanted to fill you in with. This week, we're completing our last of our transfer intake meetings for those new classified students that are new to our district. We're continuing to follow up with parents and healthcare practitioners to secure our prescriptions for related services. And like the ladies earlier said, we're answering an abundance of questions regarding how COVID is affecting our students. We're still having a little bit of difficulty in reference to finding appropriate placements for a couple of our at-risk kids, as both of our BOCES are currently limited and also are having difficulties with staffing. On our first day, September 8th, our professional development day, I met with our special education staff and related service providers and updated them on some of the New York State guidance regarding online learning and services. And I believe we're up and running in reference to our teacher evaluations for this school year, and I plan on starting that probably by mid-October. Anybody have any questions? I'd be happy to answer. Thank you. Stay healthy.
Thank you. Mr. Pattersiva?
Have to adjust the camera so I can be on the screen. So as you can imagine, we've been a little busy in the last month, from teacher staff trainings to getting things set to roll for the first day to setting up classrooms as they've never been set up before, setting up remote teachers, supporting remote teachers, taking calls from parents, taking calls from grandparents, taking calls from teachers in the bind. They need help now. So it's just really the gamut of what we've been dealing with, and having a lot of success with, I'm in the elementary building now, so I can really triage any of the issues that come up in that area, replace Chromebooks. It's actually the biggest traction in terms of use, K-5, like right off the bat, teachers are breaking out devices and getting kids logged in. So any of those quick fixes that we can do to really help out have been key in getting us to where we are. That's basically in a nutshell. It's just been run and go and support people and get done what we need to get done, answer questions and come up with ideas. And I have to really say thank you to my staff who really manned the building down in the middle school, high school. Andrew and Tina have done a stellar job this year, just holding up the fort without me being there as somebody to lean on, and they can just give a ring if they need to, and I pop in periodically. But overall, it's been going well. And I think your question last year is, do you think we can pull it off with just the three of us, or last meeting? Yeah, you know, and we made it. It wasn't a year ago, but it wasn't a without hard work. But I think that, you know, it just helped us to dig in, because oftentimes if I'm bringing a new person on, it slows the process by 50% just to explain what we're doing. And I think if we just knew, okay, now we have to just go. But that was certainly a good question at that point. But it's kind of reinvigorated me to be in the building and work with the teachers and see the kids applying, and I'm, you know, enjoying my room with a window now. So it's anyone have any questions for me at this point?
Just a comment, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you.
And Mr. Versboer.
Good evening. Things are going well in transportation. As it is now, it's been very busy. We had a lot of biennial testing and stuff due, which was planned, and then catching up on a lot of driver reviews and stuff that were all due after COVID hit that now have to be made up once for where we can review drivers. So things are going well. Buses are running well. We've had a couple little issues. Everything's been taken care of. As far as warranty stuff and all that with new buses and the break-in period and so forth. Seem doing well. Any questions?
Thank you.
Okay, and it's time for our superintendent's report. Mrs. Zimmerman.
Yeah, I don't even need to come up to the front, because this team has done a great job bringing us up to date on really the workings in the first month of school. Except to say that at Delaware Academy, we currently have 0 positive cases of COVID. We've been working closely with SUNY Delhi, who I believe is still standing strong at 9. And I'm in regular contact with SUNY Delhi regarding the results of their pool testing, the first 3 rounds of which have all come back negative. So they're doing a great job over there containing it to their side of the valley. The only other focus is we are reporting daily to the Department of Health, the New York State Department of Health portal, on the enrollment of our students who are here in person and those who are learning remotely, and also in the employment numbers of our faculty and staff. The specifics that they're requesting change probably once or twice a week, but we are keeping up with all of that, and I've been maintaining hard copies locally in case there is any discrepancy at the state level to demonstrate that Delaware Academy is indeed reporting every single day and in keeping up with those updated requirements. We're thrilled to have student athletes on campus, as Mr. Ferrara was mentioning, and that's it.
I'll just make a quick comment. I happened to be fortunate enough to be up here one morning to observe the students coming in, and it's a well-oiled machine. It didn't take long. They come in, there's 2 stations set up to have them scanned, and they come right in and get their scan, they grab their breakfast, and I was surprised, honestly, at how smooth it was and how quickly everybody got through the process. I think our kids and faculty and staff, everybody it's been very adaptable, very resilient, and developed a process that really seems to be working. So, nice job.
I just have a question. So is there lines outside? Or are there lines outside to come in or no?
Yes,
And
yes.
so I guess what would the plan?
So when students arrive in the morning, I can speak to the junior, senior high school because I'm here every morning. I don't want to step on your toes, Mrs. Robbins. But we actually have all of the students who are either dropped off or walked, they come up the ramp. And they usually start lining up, staging around 7:30. Our doors open at 7:40. And so we are using the two doors. So we're bringing everybody in simultaneously and it moves right along. And then we let the buses off one at a time in a staggered fashion. So we're not getting, a bottleneck of students backing up or needing to stand outside. Today was, believe it or not, the first morning where there was a little bit of rain. But we were still able to get kids under the roof, the eaves, whatever you wanna call it there, out front. So it, really has not been an issue. And we're bringing in kids 4 at a time once they're going through those.
I guess that's kind of what I was leading to, like eventually the weather, if it's like downpour raining or really cold and snowy, I didn't know if there's a contingency plan yet or not. Or no, they just walk faster, I don't know.
There is not, but the reality is we have walkers who are coming in the elements. We hope that our students are dressing warmly. If there are certainly students in need of warm clothes, I'm certain the Delaware Academy will help provide for that. But we do, once those doors are open, the kids do move right along. So nobody is standing out for extended periods of time. I would say no kid is out there for probably more than 5 minutes. Between the buses and getting in. Mrs. Robbins, anything to add?
That's true, and today we kind of measured out how many we could get on that first landing.
Right.
Under the roof, so
Under the roof, yeah.
that's our contingency plan right now.
Okay, thank you.
And I'm always encouraging them, bring an umbrella,
Yeah.
wear warmer clothes.
Truly our faculty, staff, and students, I think, are so happy to have the opportunity to be back. There's truly this undercurrent of a do what it takes attitude that they're willing to comply and follow all these procedures without question. I've been pleasantly surprised at just how agreeable students, and staff certainly, but especially our students have been to, wearing the masks in the hallways and just following all of the protocols without question. And we have not had the anticipated discipline related to kids refusing to engage. And it's been wonderful.
Yeah, good, thank you.
And that's even my littlest guys too.
Yeah.
They're wearing them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we'll move on to policy review and adoption. We have no action to be taken. We have a second reading of our proposed policy on our staff and student social media. And I will just make a brief comment. Our policy committee met on September 16th. And our main purpose was to review the social media policy that is up for a second reading this evening. While realizing the importance of having such a policy, it also needs to be one that fits within the structure of our school. And that said, we have asked for some additional time to make some small modifications, and we anticipate having it ready for the third and final reading and adoption at our October meeting. Our next policy committee meeting is October 21st, where we will begin our typical review of our first set of policies. So, I don't know if anybody had any questions.
So we'll see that revised policy,
Pardon me?
we will see that
Yes.
adjusted, updated, latest and greatest
Yep. Absolutely.
prior.
Okay, we have no old business, so we will move on to new business. And we would like a motion, please, to approve our student handbooks. And this would be for the elementary and the middle school, high school for the 2021 school year. Motion please,
So moved.
and a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments?
I just wonder, the new versions of the student handbooks will have the new mission statement in them, I'm assuming?
I don't think that they will, Steph, that's a great question, because these were published prior to the approval of, or
Oh, they
prior to
are,
that
yeah.
work being completed.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. And the motion is carried. We would like a motion, please, to accept the donation of a bluestone bench from Sarah Bowley in memory of her uncle, Davion Price, who was a student here at Delaware Academy. Like a motion, please. Seth, and a second?
Second.
Yeah, Lucy, thank you. Any questions or comments? Sue will.
I'm just curious where they're gonna put it, do you know where they're gonna put it?
Yes, listen.
Good question.
Can I have a cash?
I'm sorry,
Do you know where they're gonna put it?
Once this was approved by the board, then we're gonna be working with the family on a mutually agreeable location. They're requesting that the bench overlook the football field in some way, shape, or form, so we'll look at a spot that makes sense.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. And the motion is carried. I have a motion to approve a project settlement escrow agreement negotiated by County of Delaware Industrial Development Agency to secure payment negotiated by the County of Delaware Industrial Development Agency. Secure payment by DRNC Realty LLC of outstanding payment in lieu of taxes owed by DRNC to the district and to the town of Delhi and the County of Delaware in installments over a 24-month period with penalties and interest, with no reduction in the amounts due to Delaware County. The President of the Board of Education is authorized to execute the agreement with the approval of the District Council. Bruce, did you have any comments?
No, other than this is an agreement negotiated by the county IDA. The district is scheduled to receive pilot payments, but has not been receiving them, as likewise the county. Town has likewise not, and this is an agreement intended to secure those payments over the next 24 months with penalties and interest.
Any questions?
Bruce, is there an ultimatum for them if they don't make the payment?
The agreement provides that if they default under the agreement, then A, they will immediately lose the tax exempt status, so the property will be added to the taxable rolls. And B, the county IDA would institute legal proceedings to secure a judgment.
Motion please to accept. And a second?
Second.
Sean, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Okay, and the motion is carried. Kelly, did we need to put in the one item?
That was the one we were going to put in. Oh, yes, we do need, yes. We need a motion for the supervisor's contract.
This time, Sue will have to add this. I'd like to take a motion, please, to accept or approve the supervisor's contract that was executed.
So this was signed in 2018, and the Board of Education had not formally approved that yet. Lucas is the president of the association currently, so please jump in with any additional details, but at this point, There's nothing further that requires negotiation, that was all settled. And at this point, the board just needs to move to enact that.
So
Okay, second please.
Second.
Second, Kimberly, thank you. Any questions or comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. And the motion's carried, thank you. Okay, at this time, we will accept public comments. And again, remind you that we will not respond to your comments or questions. Ask that you, any discussion we've placed on the board agenda, you could contact the district clerk or superintendent 1 week prior to the board meeting. Is there any public comments at this time? Okay, but I'd like to thank the public for attending. We don't usually get that now, so thank you very much. This is okay. Board comments. Start with Mrs. Keller.
I would like to quote Mr. Portaziba, who said he felt help me out.
Re-energized?
Yeah, thank you. Being back in the building, I think all the students are feeling that way. It's nice to see happy faces again. I think they just wanted to return to normalcy. And I was really getting concerned about the mental health of our students, so I think you're helping me out, Mr. Portaziba, and also see the happy faces again. I have to probably, it will be echoed by all the board members here, thanking the well-oiled machine. We couldn't have done it without everybody working as a team, the department heads, all the teachers, the custodials, all the staff. They just do a super job that shows they're caring for our students in our school. So thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Keller. Mr. Tucker.
I have no comment on this one.
Mr. Leddy.
I also have no comment.
Mr. Hay.
just gonna say go team, thanks everybody for getting this started off, like Lucy said. Even if we were to have to revert to some kind of more increased distance learning, we've still had almost 3 to 4 weeks now. So you just getting back to that extent.
Month on Wednesday.
Yeah, month on Wednesday, right? So that's huge.
Who's counting?
But you think about it, every day, every day is a day, that other districts don't have.
Right.
So it shows what hard work has led to, and there's a payoff for that. Lots of ways other than grades. It's great to see people back, so thank you.
I have heard no comment. I'll just again sort of echo what everyone said, but really recognize the fact that our district continues to be a trendsetter and take the initiatives and do some things that it's obvious that other schools around are looking at us and wanting to take direction and guidance from what we do. So for that, I'm extremely proud, and again, thank everyone involved for getting us to that point. So great job. Okay, our next meeting is Monday, October 26th at 5 p.m. It is anticipated that the Board of Education will act upon a resolution to convene an executive session and will plan to return to open session at 6 p.m. And at, we go into executive session?
But we do not have a second one tonight.
Okay. So at this point, please, I will take a motion to adjourn the meeting for the evening.
So
Mr. Hay, and a second?
Second.